Edwin Abbott and Rudy Rucker and things like Flatland in the fourth dimension, excuse me, what they are is they are encouraging us to think differently, to go way out of the box, to expand our way of looking at it. And there are things, a couple of my favorite things are Mobius strips,
right,
Klein bottles,
right,
a tesseract. I have a tesseract on my wall. And what I found out is that instead of just playing with them, if you look into them, if you make yourself small enough to walk the edge or the surface, the single edge or single surface of a Mobius strip or a Klein bottle, or if you look at the tesseract until all sorts of three-dimensional rooms and stars and figures start coming out in it, you have a wonderful series of tools that are all around.
Right.
Yeah.
There's evidence of that infinite loop of creation everywhere. And that's a good point. And to like observe it and to realize it. To realize it. I mean, what I was saying on movement, for instance, to realize that, you know, dancers and so on, to realize like the miracle of you doing this. I mean, whoa, you know, it's an amazing thing. Because everything is spinning everywhere, and you're embedded in it, and you're moving at incredible speeds. And so, you know, you're actually ultimately absolutely still in every moment. And each of these moments are piled up so that you think that there is a linear function to it. Okay. And that has implication to time as well, and the concept of linear time. Go ahead.
Yes. So you're saying that we are the resistor between the energy information that goes within and goes without this feedback loop.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking you is to address the issue of consciousness.
Yes.
And will and free will within this context. Because you're saying we add something to it. We can add to it.
We change it.
We change it. We can modify it.
Right.
So
we always do. We always modify it because as soon as you experience it, you modify it.
So I know this is a big question, but what is this consciousness that we have that modifies? What's the difference between me, you, who can modify this versus some other being that cannot modify it, or modify it partially, or modify it in a different way? What's the difference?
The difference is the ohmage.
That's
okay,
right.
The amount of resistance and the amount of information that's moving through. Okay, so you're saying I want you to address consciousness, but okay, what is consciousness in this view? In this view, consciousness is the information loop moving through. Right? In order to be self-aware, you have to have feedback. See, consciousness is a feedback between the external world and the internal world. And so that's fundamental to all things. So then all things are conscious. All things are feeding information to the vacuum, and the vacuum is feeding it back. Okay? The amount that you're able to feed into the system is related directly to your amount of resistance and how much information can come in, right? And so that is what makes the difference between you and me, or the other person, or the other person, or the other person. But if you're asking, why am I not, if it's all the same, why don't we all look the same? Then my answer is because we all have a different angle of perspective on everything. So if you're the center of the universe, and I'm the center of the universe, you're the center of the universe from your perspective, I'm the center of the universe from my perspective, this is the center of the universe from its perspective, you're looking at this and I'm looking at this, I'm always going to interpret this differently than you. Just a little teeny weeny bit, and that'll make me a little different. And all these little differences eventually add up to you looking the way you look and me looking the way I look. And that makes us think we're different. But basically, it's just because we all have a different point of perspective on all things.
So is that, from your point of view, from this vantage point of view, is that what we call free will?
Okay, free will means, okay, in this point of view, just the fact that you have a different perspective on things, that you always will, because I'll never observe it from your center, and you'll never observe it from my center, is only true as long as we don't move scales. Okay? If we move scales, for instance, if all of a sudden we both became the center of the earth, right? Now we would have the same perspective. Okay? That is a crossing of the event horizon. Okay? Now, that, so that's one thing. So I would say to you, in technical terms, that free will is only a local phenomenon. Only a local phenomenon. That is, locally, you have free will. That is, you can interpret things the way you want them. But ultimately, there's larger scales that are doing the same. And you're subject to those scales. And so, if you get out of line too far, those scales will make sure that you go back in line. And so you always have a fail-safe system in the universe, right? So that things can always go towards coherency, and no one thing can all of a sudden destroy everything. You see? Because after, let's say you believe in reincarnation. You shoot your foot, okay, it hurts, kills you, whatever. All right, then you come back, you shoot your foot again. Dang, did it again. All right, come back. Eventually, you'll get the idea that shooting your foot is not the best way to go about it, right? So, the universe will always bring you to further and further coherency. And actually, I believe you even see that in our equations. It doesn't matter how whacked out our physics get and how many dimensions we have to add, we can't even get out of the truth. Meaning, it's there, it might not be understood, it might not be complete, but it's always bringing us in that direction. So there's a higher scale of coherency, and then there's the individual, you know, on the local level, you know, free will.
Very clear, thank you.
Thank you. I think we gotta go to the mic, I think, because...
When you said the word
Well, actually-
homage, are you saying homage, meaning piety, reverence? Is that what you're saying?
No, I was making a play on word. Okay, Om is the Prama Om from the Hindus that represents a moment of like high alignment, and Ohms in circuitry is a resistor, is the amount, is the quantity of resistance of a resistor.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Hi.
Okay, let's make that our last question because.
She's been waiting for a long time.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I have to acknowledge there's an element of hypocrisy because, I mean, I own a cell phone and a laptop, but my question is about the need for a device.
Right.
Because, I mean, ultimately, I mean, that's not your ultimate goal with all of this. I mean, you've done a brilliant job of explaining to the Western mind what 5,000 years or more of Hindu gurus have been telling us all along.
Right.
So isn't the point to take it within and learn to then radiate it out, but from within? What is the purpose of the device? Because then doesn't that become a tool for power and corruption?
Right.
I mean, does that make sense? Does the question make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You got to remember that, like, power and corruption and all these things, they're just tools for the learning. Huh? And so, you know, when you learn to walk, you fall and hurt yourself and, you know, learn better and, you know, you should...
So the device would just be a crutch then?
No, I wasn't saying that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, and this is a very fundamental, I started the lecture with this, it's a very fundamental problem. Like I was saying, spiritual people say we don't need no technology, and, you know, physicists say we don't need no consciousness. I understand what you're saying to me is that I've got this image of purity, and in this image of purity, there is no device involved. Okay, that like I'm all powerful. I can do whatever I want. The problem is that in that vision, first of all, which was brought into your mind and based on religious beliefs. The concept, the fundamental concept is that there's a division between your consciousness and atomic structure. that the external atomic world is not part of your higher potential. And what I'm saying to you is that if you eliminate that, you're missing half the feedback. That is, and so that's an esoteric response to your question. And I know you might say, well, you're not really answering what I'm saying. But I want to give you another example. It doesn't matter how many gurus on the planet are able to reach nirvana.
Or manifest gems in the palm of their hand.
Whatever.
Okay.
It's irrelevant because changes on the planet are occurring much faster than all of us becoming these gurus. Okay? And there's great challenge in being able to survive. So at this point,